A war veteran thought he had found a bargain, a cabin deep in the forest for only $500. But the locals warned him, "Don't go near it. That place is cursed." Strange noises, whispers in the dark, and shadows moving where no one stood. It all seemed like superstition, until his loyal dog began barking furiously at the floorboards. When the veteran pried them open, he uncovered something that chilled him to the bone. This wasn't a haunting. It was a secret so dark, so dangerous, that someone out there wanted it buried forever. And they would do anything to keep it hidden. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. After years of service, the veteran returned home carrying scars no one could see. Nights were the hardest. Echoes of gunfire haunted his dreams, and silence felt heavier than war itself. His savings were nearly gone, and with no family left to lean on, he searched desperately for a place he could afford, somewhere far from the noise of the city. That's when he stumbled upon an ad in the paper. Cabin for sale. $500. Remote. Needs repair. When he asked around, locals looked at him with wide eyes. "That place," one man muttered. "It's cursed. Haunted. You'd be a fool to go there." Another added, "People hear screams in the woods at night. No one stays long." The warnings were endless, but the veteran simply nodded, unfazed. He had faced worse things than creaking walls and shadows. He signed the papers with little hesitation. For him, it wasn't about comfort, it was about survival. The cabin might have been falling apart, but it was his. With Rex, his loyal German shepherd, riding in the passenger seat of his truck, he drove out to the forest. As the outline of the broken cabin came into view, he whispered, "This is where we start over." The cabin stood like a forgotten skeleton in the clearing, its wooden beams darkened with age. The stone chimney cracked, and the roof sagging under years of neglect. The veteran pushed the door open, and it groaned as though it hadn't been touched in decades. Dust swirled in the cold air, carrying the musty scent of rot and time. Rex padded inside cautiously, nose twitching, ears perked, his instincts already alert. The veteran set down his pack and sighed. "It's rough, boy," he whispered, "but it's ours." Nights in the cabin were different. The forest outside fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the howl of wind slipping through gaps in the walls. At first, he dismissed the creaks and groans as old wood settling. But Rex never relaxed. The dog would growl low, staring into corners where nothing moved, his eyes locked on empty shadows. Sometimes he barked at the window, his hackles raised, though nothing was there. Days weren't much better. The veteran noticed cold drafts sweeping through rooms without cause, doors that closed when no one touched them. At night, whispers seemed to ride the wind, words he couldn't quite make out. Still, he ignored the fear creeping into his gut. "Ghosts can't hurt us," he muttered. But Rex wasn't so sure. One night, as the wind rattled the old windows and the fire crackled weakly in the hearth, Rex began pacing the cabin. His nails scraped against the wooden floor as he circled near the fireplace. At first, the veteran thought it was restlessness, but then Rex stopped, ears sharp, nose pressed against the floorboards. A deep growl rumbled from his chest as he scratched furiously at one spot. The veteran leaned forward, puzzled. "What is it, boy?" he asked, watching as Rex refused to move. The dog's growl shifted into a bark, loud, commanding, filled with urgency. He wasn't just playing or chasing a scent. He was warning. The veteran crouched down, pressing his hand against the wood. It felt colder there, damp, almost unnatural. A strange metallic odor drifted up through the cracks, faint but distinct. It was the kind of smell that didn't belong in an abandoned cabin. Rex whined, pawing harder, as though demanding his master act. The veteran grabbed a flashlight, marking the spot in his mind. "All right, boy," he murmured, uneasy. "We'll see what's under there tomorrow." That night, he barely slept. Every creak of the cabin seemed louder, every shadow longer. And Rex, always vigilant, never left the fireplace, his eyes glowing in the firelight, guarding the secret beneath their feet. By morning, the veteran could no longer ignore Rex's warning. He gathered his tools, a crowbar, a hammer, and his flashlight, and returned to the spot by the fireplace. Rex stood close, tail rigid, ears pinned forward. With a grunt, The veteran wedged the crowbar beneath the warped planks. The wood groaned in protest before snapping loose, sending dust and splinters into the air. A rush of damp, foul-smelling air seeped out from the dark hole beneath. He lowered the flashlight into the gap. What he saw made his stomach tighten. A narrow crawl space stretched under the cabin, its dirt floor disturbed, as though someone had dug there long ago. Crates lay stacked against the wall, their edges rotted but intact. Scattered papers, yellowed and brittle, were strewn across the ground. Rex barked once, sharp and insistent, his body tense. The veteran climbed down carefully, the earth cold and damp beneath his boots. Kneeling by one crate, he pried it open. Inside lay objects he didn't expect: rusted tools, strange symbols carved into wood, and a bundle of journals bound with twine. The handwriting was jagged, frantic, entries describing rituals, screams, and things buried where no one should look. It wasn't ghosts that haunted this cabin. It was something far worse, secrets of men who had used its isolation for darkness. That night, the veteran sat at the table, the journals spread open before him. The words were chilling, accounts of rituals, strange gatherings, and hints of crimes buried with silence. He rubbed his temples, torn between disbelief and horror. Rex lay by the door, ears flicking at every sound. Then, suddenly, the dog growled. His fur bristled, and his body stiffened. The veteran froze. Someone was outside. A faint knock rattled the door. Slow, deliberate. Then a voice followed, muffled but sharp. "We know what you found. Hand it over, and no one gets hurt." The veteran's chest tightened. Whoever they weren't here by accident. He reached instinctively for the old pistol he kept from his service days. Rex barked furiously, the sound echoing through the cabin. A warning that danger was near. The door creaked as the knob turned. But the veteran stood firm, weapon raised. His voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. "This cabin is mine. You want something from here, you'll have to come through me." Silence followed, broken only by the dog's growls. The shadows outside shifted, then footsteps retreated into the woods. But the veteran knew this wasn't over. Someone wanted the cabin's secret buried, and they would be back at dawn. The veteran loaded the crates and journals into his truck. Rex sat beside him, alert and watchful, as the engine rumbled to life. He drove into town, the chilling memories of the night still fresh in his mind. At the sheriff's office, he laid the evidence out piece by piece. The journals, the symbols, the disturbing artifacts, they all told a story too grim to ignore. The sheriff's face paled as he read. "These aren't ghost tales," he muttered. "This is evidence of crimes long buried." Investigators were sent to the cabin, unearthing even more beneath the floorboards. Bones, personal belongings, and records that tied the place to a hidden network of men who had used its seclusion for unthinkable acts. The truth spread quickly. What locals had dismissed as hauntings were echoes of real horrors. The whispers, the unease, the fear, it all made sense now. For the veteran, the cabin was no longer a prison of shadows but a place of justice. With help from the community, he rebuilt it, repairing the roof, strengthening the walls, planting flowers where the earth had once been scarred. Rex roamed freely, no longer growling at corners, finally at peace. That on quiet evenings, the veteran sat on the porch with Rex at his feet, watching the forest sway in the wind. "We did it, boy," he whispered. For $500, he hadn't bought a haunted cabin. He had bought the chance to uncover the truth and to finally build a home.